Welcome to Outtakes with Rex Reel. Tonight,
I still think it's a pity to come here on his daughter's wedding day. Till death do us part.
I see them.
Somebody help me! Tell us what all this is right now!
I would love to take photos of you like that.
What are you doing in her room?
Just talking. Why?
I'm a curious girl.
How will you do it?
Kill them.
plus I'll have a BizBuzz report for you, and of course, Rex Reel is here as well. A cinematic class is about to begin, and your professor is in. Greetings, salutations, another sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and purveyor of truth. In movies, we have a lot to do tonight, but before we get started, let me remind you, as if you need reminding, that we are fast approaching the holiday season. You know, why put yourself through a lot of grief and aggravation and just nerve rattling when you can do most of your holiday gift giving at the official Rex Reel store? It is open now with big savings on apparel, household items, personal items, office items, anything and everything you need for almost everyone on your Christmas list. It's the official Rex Reel store. Check it out today and start your holiday gift buying. It's easy and takes all that pressure off your holiday gift giving. On tonight's show, let's start with a movie that is searching for a genre. Now, it centers around the war between Sweden and Denmark and has a subplot of vengeance running beneath. The war scenes in this movie, I probably should tell you the name. It's called Stockholm Bloodbath. Don't get put off by the title. It's a weird title. The war scenes in this movie are absolutely brutal. But the connecting scenes are pretty funny. Now, remember back, those of you in my generation, to a TV show, Hercules, that starred Kevin Sorbo. Okay? In that TV show, they took a lot of the Greek mythology and the adventures of Hercules, but all the characters surrounding him, especially Salmoneus and the other characters, were all very modern. They talked in modern idioms, they used modern slang, they modern tropes, they had modern ideas, and that's what made that show an awful lot of fun, because none of it obviously fit into the time period. This movie is just like that, and between all the hatchet hacking and the sword slicing, well, the characters are just talking like you and I would talk now over a cup of coffee. And this really tends to lead to the story and makes it, although psychotic, it makes it kind of interesting to watch. You know, for a more in-depth opinion on this, let us peel back the veils of time and head back to the early Cretaceous period. Check in with the nation's first and only prehistoric film critic, Rex Reel. Writers Erend Lowe and Nora Lansrod pen a tale with no regard for timeline continuity. Director Mikael Hafström orchestrates the script in chaotic fashion. Yet through it all, this film is fun to watch. Alrighty, Stockholm Bloodbath stars Sophie Cookson, Claes Bang, Elba August, and Mikael Bo Flosgaard. Despite the gory war sequences, this movie is still listed as a comedy, and rightfully so. Here's a look.
I still think it's a pity to come here on his daughter's wedding day. Till death do us part.
Mother and father are dead. Help me find these men. We need to stick to the plan. I'm going to find those bastards.
The king's army is strong. It's just a matter of time before he'll siege the city. Oops. A woman? Seriously?
I am the rightful king of this country. I will not have that taken away from me by some Swedish peasant!
Today's the perfect day for bloodbath.
There are no limits to my power.
I want them dead.
Good morning, Stockholm!
I'm here to prevent this becoming a bloodbath.
Now, folks, I want to talk to you a little bit about Beetlejuice. Now, that movie's been out for a while, and a lot of people are criticizing it because they say it did not do the box office returns that they were hoping for on this. And Beetlejuice is one of many movies that has brought up a brand new trend in movie releasing that I thought I would let you know about. And that trend is ignore the film critics. Unfortunately, this started with COVID, and it's become stronger now that COVID is past us. You see, what the big movie companies are doing, especially with movies like Beetlejuice, which has a big star cast and established characters and what have you, they're not screening those movies for bona fide film critics. Oh, make no mistake. The critics in the top 10 cities, they still get their bread buttered on both sides. But for the rest of the nation, they're not screening it for the critics. Why would they not do this? Well, one of the big reasons is that there are a veritable plethora of people who will write about the movie online. These are not film critics. These are just your average run-of-the-mill people, most of whom are still living in mom's basement, who will say, oh, I like this movie. It was so great to see Michael Keaton again, yada, yada, yada. There's nothing behind the criticism. It's not like yours truly, who went to film school, who participated in classes, studied film, actually worked on films, and even starred in a film. You know, they don't have that kind of background on which to judge things, and they're just people spouting off their opinions like you would over maybe a cold one in a bar. You know what I'm saying? But the movie studios think they can get more mileage out of, Happy Joe down the street saying, go and see this, than they can releasing them to the actual critics. So far, it is proven to be not so good. The only movie they got away with that this year was Deadpool and Wolverine. I think that movie was going to make money regardless of who reviewed it. The rest of the big-time movies, And I'll tell you one thing they're doing. Gladiator 2, they are screening for the critics. So this is one of the ones that's bucking the current trend. And I think it's because that trend is not working well for them. The critics are needed, especially when they can make, responsible and intelligent opinions and at least even write their reviews in what looks like English. So what about Beetlejuice? Well, this is one of those movies, ladies and gentlemen, it did not need to be made. It really didn't. It offered nothing to the Beetlejuice legacy. It's good for a few chuckles, but you're better off watching this on the streamers. It's not worth the theater price to go and eyeball this. Wait till it comes, into your house in the privacy of your home, and you can sit around before you go to bed and catch it for a few chuckles. That's about it. On the next show, I'll have a couple of words to say about the Deadpool and Wolverine. But, there's so much going on in Tinseltown. I think now would be a great time for the Biz Buzz. All right, let's get started on the biz. Everybody said, oh, don't do that. But no, I'm going to do it anyway because they told me not to. We're going to start an official count of people leaving the country, movie stars leaving the country. Now, as you know, the election is over and done with, and Donald Trump won a resounding victory. And as soon, well, even before he won the election, there were a plethora of stars coming out saying that if he won, they would leave the country. Just to give you an idea, some of those stars were George Clooney, Oprah, Beyonce, Pink, Rob Reiner, Jimmy Kimmel, Cher, Sharon Stone, Cardi B, Whoopi, and a whole lot more. So what we're going to do on every episode is we're going to keep a running tab on how many have stayed true to their word and left the country. Now, right off the bat, I have to tip my hat to Jimmy Kimmel because he came out and said right after President Trump takes the oath of office on January 20th, he is leaving. And apparently he's got his plane booked and everything, and he will not be in the country. So if he holds true to that, I know there's a lot of time between now and January. If he holds true to that, then kudos to him for sticking to his guns. So far, none of these other people have stuck to their word, and they're not, you can't trust anyone that won't stick to that. And I got to point out one more thing. Hugh Jackman, okay? Hugh Jackman came out and said, well, if Trump wins, I'm going to leave too. Hugh Jackman doesn't live here, okay? He's Australian. He lives in Australia, and I think this was all a setup, and I think he's hanging around Ryan Reynolds too much. And speaking of Ryan Reynolds, on the heels of great things with Deadpool and Wolverine, Reynolds and Jackman have decided to make another movie. Now, Reynolds said he promises it's not going to be part of the Marvel comic universe. No, nothing there. But those two had so much fun on the set and working off each other that they're going to make another buddy movie. And that is currently in pre-production now. Let's talk about some other things in pre-production. All righty. Godzilla -1 is definitely greenlit for a sequel. Takashi Yamazaki is due to come back as the director. Now, this was bantered around and people were saying, oh, they're going to do it. But now it is officially greenlit from Toho Studios, so it is definitely on. People on the social medias are already flooding Toho with ideas. And, surprisingly, one of the biggest ideas from the fan base is they're tired of Ghidorah. And they don't want to see Ghidorah again because rumor was that the second movie would have Godzilla fighting Ghidorah. Interesting to see how Toho deals with this, especially with the new look they gave Godzilla. Lord knows what they would do with Ghidorah. Let's wait and see how things go on. I'll keep you abreast on the show, of course. And Lethal Weapon 5 is an action thriller that is currently in development. Now, Mel Gibson is set to direct that film. Those of you that are Lethal Weapon fans, you know, pardon me, that the movies were made by Richard Donner. And Donner passed away some 3 years ago. But he did say, before he died, that he would like Mel Gibson to take over the franchise. And apparently, pardon me again, this is going to happen. What's going to happen, they're keeping the plot secret, of course, but it is being described by the studio as an explosive conclusion to the Lethal Weapon series. While Mel Gibson is directing, he is not listed as one of the stars. Danny Glover is coming back as Detective Murtaugh, and so far, that is all we know. We know that a new Star Wars trilogy is in pre-production, and this, of course, is at Disney. The question is why? Since the original Lucas trilogy, none of the Star Wars movies have been worth the time or the effort. Dave just cringed now because he's a Star Wars fan. But they haven't. They've been bad movies. Disney insists that this will be a whole new track, and it will have nothing to do with the Skywalker canon. Who cares? With all of Disney's woke agenda infused into the storylines as of late, it'll still be unwatchable. Let's take a look at some of the streamers, shall we? This month on Max, they're showing Trap. Now, Trap was a movie made by M. Night Shyamalan. It had a very, very brief theater run, and now it is on Max. Folks, if you have a chance to catch this movie, do so. It is very entertaining, very good, and there is a great performance by Josh Hartnett. Here's a look.
Cooper, Jamie, what's with all the police trucks outside? The cameras everywhere, Jamie. I'm not supposed to tell. Something happening? Don't rat me out. I won't.
You know the butcher? The freaking nut job that goes around just chopping people up? Well, the feds or whatever heard that he's gonna be here today, so they set up a trap for him. This whole concert, it's a trap. They're watching all the exits, checking everyone that leaves. There's no way to get out of here.
I see them.
Somebody help me!
Your daughter's never gonna forget this day.
You're kind of dope, right?
And finally, as we check over the streamers and this BizBuzz report, let's go to Peacock. Peacock is offering a very interesting series called Teacup. It is really weird, and it is very creepy. I think you'll like it.
Sit beside the breakfast table, think about your troubles.
Are the animals still worked up?
Hey, something got really spooked.
Pour yourself a cup of tea, think about the bubbles.
It's a tempest in a teacup. What's a tempest? It's a really big storm.
You can take your teardrops and drop them in a teacup.
You okay?
Nothing I can't handle.
Take them down to the riverside.
Where are you, Mr. Go?
Erotic thrillers next on the agenda when Outtakes with Rex Reel continues right after this. I have got some really good news for you. You know, if you've called down to the House of Fairuza lately, you might find that you were waiting sometimes 2, maybe 3 weeks to get an appointment so that you can start. You know, I just came back from there just before we sat in front of the cameras. And you could see that I am once again looking chic, suave, and debonair. Ladies, please back up. Well, the good news is that Sam has a brand new apprentice down at the shop. His name is Dave. He is doing some fantastic work. I got to watch him in action when I was there just a few hours ago. This guy is good. So now you have a choice of 3. You have Sam down there, you have Corey, and you have Dave. It shouldn't be too long of a wait now if you call down and want to just style and profile, especially make sure you are looking good for the holidays. That's the House of Fairuza Barbershop and Cigar Lounge. They're located on the corner of South Park Road and Drake Road. Give them a call. Make your appointment today. Say, welcome back to the show. Here is a simple maxim, adage, if you will, of life. You know, when men get to their midlife crisis, they usually do, well, they'll maybe go out and buy a fancy sports car, or in some cases, maybe seek out and find a younger woman, you know, if they're not married, to occupy their time. Women, especially the modern women, seem to be turning weird sexually. Okay, let me try to explain this. There are a couple of movies out right now that are dealing with women in their midlife crisis. One of the movies stars Amy Adams, and it's called Night Bitch. And I have a review for that online on the socials. You will be able to check that out on any of the socials. That's YouTube and Rumble, Truth Social, and of course X as well. The review is up there. But tonight on this show, I want to talk about a movie called Taboo. I'm going to put my specs on here. And the woman going through her midlife crisis is Deborah Twiss. Now, she has made in Taboo an erotic, I want to say almost soft porn flick. Not quite that far, but getting there. Last year, she was in a movie called A Sapiosexual, and this year she follows it up with Taboo Family Secrets. Now, make no mistake about this. Deborah Twiss is definitely what the generation would call a MILF. She is looking very good. She is a saucy redhead, and she is very proud to display in front of the camera her breasts and other assets. Okay? But these tales are nothing more than a flirt or a tease. What do I mean? Well, perhaps for clarification, we should travel back again to the early Cretaceous period and check in with Rex Real.
Writer, director, producer Deborah Twiss leaves a poorly made tale of family infidelity toying with the fringes of incest. It is poorly edited, with abrupt straight cuts, and most of the scenes are lit improperly, giving the film a cheap, porn-like mien.
Thank you, Rex. Folks, this is just an absolutely terrible movie. Twiss plays Amanda. Amanda is a rebound wife for Lucas, who is played by Costas Mandylor. He deserves better roles. Lucas no longer finds a spark in his wife, so he begins an affair with his paralegal secretary. While this is going on, Lucas's son from his first marriage returns home for a visit. Of course, he is a young, handsome man and an artiste, and it sets up a torrid affair between him and his stepmom. Now, the son is played by Stefan Edenholm. Now, all this cavorting is eventually discovered by Lucas's daughter, Jilly, who was played by Ashley Westtoner. Folks, that's it. That's the movie. No intrigue, no scandal, no heightened drama. There is a minor and very misplaced subplot of the relationship between Amanda and Jilly. It attempts to add a bit of gravitas to the movie, but it is trite and forced.
Flesh wants what it wants, right? Anything that feels good is going to cost you something, you know that.
A person who can endure pain or hardship without showing their feelings or complaining. That is the official definition of the word stoic. And that's also the title for the latest action flick from Saban Films. It is an import from the British Isles. Apparently the Stoics were a group much like the Knights Templar. They were unstoppable warriors who fought for righteousness and followed a strong moral code. Now, while many modern people think they are just legends from the past, some believe they are still secretly operating, again, very much like the Knights Templar. And this, unfortunately, is the plight of a group of sex traffic smugglers who happen to disturb a Stoic while he is enjoying his morning coffee in the solitude of his forest home. This is not going to bode well. Let's go back again to the early Cretaceous and check in with Rex Reel.
Writer-director Jonathan Eckersley weaves an interesting tale and a possible movie franchise over the legend of the Stoic fighters. Many issues with the Stoic personally are left unresolved, so a sequel is merited. Scott Wright at first seems miscast as the Stoic, but his performance grows on the viewer. Gary Rogers shoots the film in very low light to cast a solemn, mystic mien.
Starring with Wright in this movie is Rosie Boy Willius, Stuart Brennan, and George McCluskey. It's a decent flick for lovers of action films. Here's a look.
He's watching all of us.
We're dead. We are dead men.
I want my trophy.
Soon there'll be more men. They'll match you.
No, they won't.
I would love to talk more movies with you, but we are fresh out of time. Don't forget you can follow Rex and I along the social networks, and don't forget to visit the official Rex Reel store. Hockey season is underway, and that means Bob Nelson and I are back in the studio for In the Crease. Our initial episode is currently on BP TV, their TV channel. You be sure and check it out. You'll stay on the bleeding edge of hockey this season. And now that you have learned what you have learned, here endeth your lesson